Today's September 27th, 2008. I'm Stella Fouts, and my guest is Daniel Hartzler. Shall I call you Dan?
Call me Dan. Back in the old days, they called me Danny when I was here. So either one will work.
Okay, Dan. Thank you. And behind the camera is Paul Oates. We're participating in the local history project where we're attempting to preserve those New Windsor memories of the local old New Windsor School in addition to the community. And Dan's here to help us with that. So is there something you'd like to start out with especially?
Well, my mom and dad went to school here. I was born in New Windsor. I went to school from the 1st grade to the 12th grade here. I was in the last graduating class. I still live in New Windsor, so I haven't gone very far in life.
Are you the only one here today who can say that both your parents and you?
Well, I don't think so, no. There's Pat Contz. I think her parents went here also.
Wow.
There are a number of families who have been just around New Windsor and are like that.
Wow.
I think Buzzy Lampert's mom and dad went here also.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I would have thought that was pretty unusual, but...
Well, pretty exciting for us, what you're doing here today.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing a school that we remember very well. We have terrific memories of it and what it was like. And it's all changed. But then as we walk around today, we could see where things were, and it brought back wonderful memories about good times here as we were growing up. And New Windsor School was a wonderful place to grow up.
How about one good memory? First day of school, maybe. What was that like? Can you remember that? Or a specific day that something eventful happened?
A specific day. Well, yeah. We were juniors or seniors, or maybe 10th grade. But the 7th graders and the 8th graders became part of the high school because we were such a small school. So if you were in the 7th grade or the 8th grade, you associated with the upperclassmen. That was, very normal. And Don Seibel had been our phys ed teacher. And he was away on Army maneuvers. And they got Dean Griffin to come in and substitute for him. Now, Dean was a local guy from Westminster. He was working his way through med school, and he would have to stop every now and then and get a job to get money to go to med school. So he came over, and he was our coach for this one year. And it was in the warm weather, and he was taking the 7th or the 8th graders out. And he said, we're going to play softball today. And they all went, boo. He said, well, what do you want to do? And they said, it's hot. We want to go swimming. So he said, okay. So he took the boys, now this is a boys' class, he took them about 400 yards here down to the creek, and they went swimming. So on their way back up, they were met by the principal, Gilbert Martin, in his 3-piece suit, who was standing there, and that was the last swimming classes that we had at New Windsor. Imagine the liability on that.
And what year was that?
That would have maybe been 1957.
Well, what a great substitute. I never had a substitute like that.
Yes, yes. He was so popular. He was Dr. Dean Griffin. He practiced medicine in Westminster, and he has just retired from his medical practice. We were so taken with him. He was such a joy. We called him Dino instead of Mr. Griffin.
Wow. How about, I don't know, graduation day?
Graduation day. That was a big deal, and it was a big deal all the way through high school because you knew so well, since this was a very small school, you knew the kids that were in graduation, and you knew what they were going to do after graduation, and they talked about what they were going to do. For years, the graduating class would go to New York on a trip. But the 58 class, I was in the 59, so the 58 class was so ornery that they said that was the end of the trips for graduation, so we could not go anyplace. So our class organized outside of school the Newton Teens. Now at that time, New Windsor's telephone number was Newton, so we were called the Newton Teens. We washed cars and had bake sales and earned our own money, and we earned enough that we all went to New York, not under school supervision, but under parental supervision.
Wow.
So we got to do that too.
And how many of you were there?
There were, I think there were 39 in my graduating class, and that was the largest class to come through here.
So you all came together and did that together.
Mm-hmm.
So that
we
you
did that
miss
together,
out on that
outside
trip.
of school.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you walk to school in 5 feet of snow?
I walked to school, uphill or downhill and all kinds of ways. When I first came to school, I did not like the lunches when I was a first or a second grader. So my mom said I could walk home for lunch. And a number of the town kids would literally walk home for lunch. We had a half an hour. And then when I got to high school, I ate a few times here. But the problem was then I was such a big eater, it wasn't enough. So I was still going home for lunches.
So you ate here, went home and then came back and ate here.
And if I had any money when I came home, I got one of the kids, when they would come back to the classroom, I would usually beat them back to our homeroom. But I would give them money to go get me ice cream so that I could get dessert. And one of the things that I did a lot of, one of the teachers who very much impressed me was Ollie P. Jones, and he taught chemistry. So particularly when our homeroom was there, and even when it wasn't, I would eat very fast, and I would get back here, and I knew exactly what time the kids were coming back to the homeroom. And I would go in the chemistry lab, and I would start mixing up stuff and playing. Now, I had to get it all back, and he caught me a couple times, and after the second time, that ended that.
No accidents?
No, no accidents. No, there wasn't any of that. It was just, yeah, no, it wasn't. We didn't do bad things. We did honorary things.
Yeah. That's what they always say.
There were 2 paddles in school. Okay.
And how do you know about the 2 paddles?
Oh, because I saw them. No, I saw them being used. I made sure that it wasn't me, because if I'd have got a licking in school, I'd have gotten one when I got home. So I was sure that it wasn't me. But Mr. Martin, Gilbert Martin, the principal, had a paddle. His paddle was about that long and fairly narrow. And I got to see him use that on 2 boys in a room one time, and I was trying not to laugh because one guy got caught laughing and he got it too. So 3 of them got it. So I was covering my mouth, and very funny. And the shop teacher, who was Shank, Mr. Gratian Shank, he had a paddle.
Shank, shop teacher.
Yeah, and the first thing he did when you started taking shop was he showed you the paddle. And it was a much bigger paddle, and it was wider, and it had holes in it. And I got to see him use that once on a friend of mine.
Sounds like a wise shop teacher at the beginning. Show the
yeah,
right?
Yes, very good.
So do you have a favorite teacher?
Did I have a favorite teacher? Oh, we had a number of real good teachers. Some teachers, like Dr. Griffin, became personal friends. Don Seibel, I was privileged to work with in church and privileged to do a lot of things with Don. Bill Hyatt was very good for me. He gave me a wonderful grounding that I used in college. So there were, people that really, even today, I think back on the positive aspect that they had on me.
Mm-hmm. What's this I hear about you inventing bat ball?
Well, I don't think I invented it as much as Buzzy did, but there were a group of us who...
No, he says you.
He said I did. Well, we saw some boys up at the center doing it, and we played it just outside of this window. And it was where, if you didn't have enough for a team, you could play bat ball with just 2 guys or more. And what you had was a pitcher and a batter, and then you had different distances where it would be a hit, a double, and so on. So any number could play. And we spent a lot of time doing that.
Okay, so you're not taking credit, full credit.
I'm not taking any credit on coming up with the idea, but we sure played a lot of it. And
then I heard, too, something about a book and baseball and New Windsor all being connected with you.
Yeah, I've been a history buff, and I have written some books. And not because I was a great writer, but because I did research and what I found out was real good. So I've done 19 books.
And would that be of local history or?
Everything from Civil War medicine to guns to swords to Maryland clocks to baseball to, just, but history kind of stuff.
New Windsor?
On the baseball, New Windsor had 2 teams, yeah.
So that was...
that was local.
Okay.
We had something pretty unique here. When you got in the 7th grade, the Uniontown kids came over. Now, Uniontown was an elementary school, so after 6th grade, if they lived on this side of Uniontown, they would come to New Windsor. they lived on the other side of Uniontown. They went to Westminster. So when you came to school in the 7th grade, you had this influx of any place from 10 to 20 kids from Uniontown who were now a part of your class. And that was real neat because we got some real good athletes and we got some real good scholars. The only drawback to the New Windsor kids was we never knew any cuss words until the Uniontown kids got here.
How about
That's
that?
what they brought.
How about that? You
My
had to be taught a cuss word.
My dad married a Uniontown girl. My dad lived.
There's another good reason for it.
Yeah, my dad lived here in New Windsor. He married a Uniontown girl.
And if that hadn't happened, and your dad,
Yep.
so it's a good thing.
But it keeps going a little further. I fell in love with a Uniontown girl in this school who was a year ahead of me. She was a class of 58, I was 59. And we used to neck in the halls before and after class. Yeah.
Is your mom still here with us? I mean, would
No,
she?
no, she's not, but she knew it.
Another good memory of the school, right?
A terrific memory. A terrific memory. As a matter of fact, today I said I used to rub your nose in this hallway, so I rubbed her nose. So it still works here.
It sounds
A lot
like
of great
better
memories.
Yeah, much better. And you still live in New Windsor.
I still live in New
said
Windsor.
that, and you're a businessman, and you know a lot of people. A lot of people know you and share the memories. So.
Yeah, and we had a great time with the people who were in our little group as we toured, and we met other groups, and we were teasing one another about what happened in this area, and do you remember the 5th grade here, and hey, who was our teacher over here in the 2nd grade, and these guys knew, you know, it's amazing what some people retain.
So at some point, did you feel like you were a 3rd grader again, or a 5th grader? Or
No, I felt like I was saying, Mr. Spock, zap me back. You know, I felt like I was just overlooking what had happened. And it's a real good feeling when you can look back. And I guess it's good because these were good experiences here. All good experiences.
That's good to hear. Anything else you'd like to add?
I think you got me.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Okay.